Alright guys, so before we get today's video, I do want to say this. The reason I have not uploaded a video in a long time, obviously nothing has happened. I mean, I could have talked about the Jamie Collins trade or the crap in Jonathan Banks trade, but that's not worth talking about. Obviously, Jamie Collins, one of the best players, probably the third best player on that team, gone now. Probably one of the worst trades in NFL history. The Cleveland Browns got a steal on that one. But today we're going to be reviewing the rest of the way and rest of the schedule for the Miami Dolphins. Now, we have obviously on a win streak. Everybody's coming back healthy on the offense. Obviously, we just took a huge blow to Rashard Jones. Apparently, he's actually been playing with a terrible shoulder for 2 years in a row, and now it's gotten so bad he has to have surgery. So that's a huge hit for this football team. And we saw a little bit of that in the Bills game when Michael Thomas, we were playing a cover 2, and his job is to guard the Marquise Goodwin running a flyer out. He didn't do that so well. Kind of got burned. And obviously, if Rashard Jones was there, that would not have happened. But I think this team is trending upward for sure, and I like how it's shaped. I think the defense is starting to kind of get it. I think the offense definitely is starting to kind of get it. Kiko Alonso has been a huge surprise. A lot of people talking about Kiko Alonso. They need to be. And obviously, with the trade deadline, kind of disappointed we didn't at least try to get Sheldon Richardson, but that is what it is. So let's get into this. So obviously, I'm not going to go into the Jets too much because we're obviously going to do a preview video for them in a couple days. So our next game will be Jets at home. We'll have the Jets. Obviously, the Jets are struggling. Ryan Fitzpatrick not playing very well. So probably having one of his worst seasons he's ever had, and that's saying a lot because Ryan Fitzpatrick's had some pretty bad seasons. So he's playing very inconsistent, staring down receivers, kind of just throwing to his, how Ryan Fitzpatrick is. So obviously, their defensive line, one of the best in the NFL at stopping the run, which is going to be a huge clash because we're one of the best at running the football right now. But we can also pass the football. Now, we were, again, a top 10 team for the first 3 or 4 weeks of the season. I think it was first 3 weeks of the season in passing. So we are very capable of passing. We have one of the best receivers in the league in Jarvis Landry in terms of production right now. And a lot of people have him 3rd or 4th on their list right now, so he's a top 5 receiver in the league right now. So we can pass the ball if we need to. And obviously, the Jets secondary has struggled huge. I mean, they've been playing pretty bad overall these last couple of weeks. This whole year, actually, they've been pretty bad. So the next game after that, we have the Chargers. Now, let me say this before we get into the Chargers. None of these teams, except the Patriots, which is the last game of the year, we have them at home, is the only team we play for the rest of the way with a winning record. Now, that could change because there's a lot of games left, but if that's something you like to look into, that's that right there. So we go into the Chargers. This is an away game. Chargers have one of the best offenses in the NFL. This team is a very good football team. Their defense extremely injured. They're riddled with injuries, this football team is. If not, they would be one of the best teams in the AFC. Probably the best, or the second best, because they have a really talented football team. One of the best offenses in the league right now. Obviously, Phillip Rivers having an outstanding year with Hunter Henry, who's just broken out. So that's going to be a tough game on our defense. And for our offense, it should be not so tough. We definitely can run the football on that San Diego defensive line. Their strength is more of a pass-rushing football team with Melvin Ingram obviously coming off the outside than it is stopping the run. So that should be an interesting game in terms of who can score the most points, I think, is what that's going to come down to, and whose defense can stop who. So at the St. Louis Rams, or the LA Rams, my bad, we're at there, so we have to go to LA. So this is I'm guessing we'll stay in California for this, but it's going to be a tough road there to get there. It's obviously tough to travel, across the country like that. So anyway, it's just, 2 tough road games. Well, not really tough. The LA Rams, let's get into the LA Rams. Case Keenum playing terrible. Case Keenum, I mean, what do you expect? He threw 4 picks in a game. Obviously not as bad as Ryan Fitzpatrick, 6, but he's not a good quarterback. So that should be, their offense is disgusting. Todd Gurley not having a good year. A lot of people hyped him up last year. Obviously really good rookie season. Not having his expectations have not been met. A lot of people thought he would win the rushing championship with the most rush yards in the league. He has, and obviously Ezekiel Elliott is going to have that one. So that's going to be a good game. They have a really good defense with Aaron Donald, Tremaine Johnson, T.J. McDonald, all those guys out there. That's going to be a good game for our offense. For our defense, that should be a really good game. For our offense, that's going to be a good test for the running game, obviously. Same thing with the Jets against Aaron Donald, Michael Brockers. That's a really good, solid defensive line to go against and test that. And definitely, especially if you're on the offense about our, the whole. There's a lot of people who don't like, Ryan Tannehill. This is going to be a really good test these next couple of weeks for him. Obviously, I think he's one of our best players on the football team. And then we go to the 49ers, another California game. So 3 California teams in a row. That's pretty kind of funny. So 49ers, they're coming to Miami, so we're not on the road on that game. So the thing about, obviously, Colin Kaepernick, not the greatest in the world, terrible in the pocket, not a very good pocket passer at all. Torrey Smith is their best weapon. Jamie Curley's a really good slot receiver, but he's not anything special. Carlos Hyde's a really good running back. Their offensive line is really shaky. And Chip Kelly's offense is kind of retarded. So that kind of, that's I think an advantage to our defense. Especially we have a lot of athletic guys in our defense with Neville Houghton. Just not very big guys who can stop the run. So obviously I think our defense has an edge there. Our offense, that defense is obviously Navarro Bowman going down. That defense is real shaky. They have a lot of good young talent on there, but it's not there yet. And it's really another injury prone team, not a very good football team. So we should again have the edge in that game. So far, let's recap. So I think we have a good chance of winning against the Rams. You have a really good chance against the 49ers. The Chargers are going to be pretty tough, but I think we have I don't know if we have the edge. I think it's pretty even. But the Rams and 49ers, we have a good chance. And then we go to the Ravens. Now, the Ravens are always an interesting football team we play. We barely beat them last year. Obviously, they have Joe Flacco and Steve Smith, probably their best players on offense. That's going to be a tough game because their defense, always they're a good football team every year. They play hard for their coach. They've always have a pretty competitive football team. So that's going to be a tough game going on the road to Baltimore. But again, a very winnable game. Another winnable game. They don't have that one player that I'm like, oh my god, I hope we can stop him. I mean, Steve Smith is obviously on the latter end of his career there, so they have a good chance of winning that one. Then the Cardinals come to Miami on Hard Rock Stadium. That's going to be an interesting game. The Cardinals are crap and bipolar. They play really good one week, and they really struggle against physical teams like, the Carolina Panthers, physical football teams that just pound you in defense. They really struggle against those teams. So I think we have an edge there. And Bruce Arians, never count him out of a game. One of the best coaches in the NFL. But that team mentally has problems. So I think that's going to be we have a good chance of winning that game too. Now, I'm not going to say we win. I have that thing, but just this is previewing the rest of the way. And I think for sure we're going to be in the playoff hunt in December. So that's all you want out of a season, is just to be there at the end of the year. So, and then we are at the New York Jets. Obviously, New York Jets are just, as a football team, they're not even a football team. Their quarterback is calling out their coach or their GM. I mean, that team is not a really Brandon Marshall's crap and crybaby. That locker room has problems. So we'll see. They obviously have a talent. They have a lot of, they have a talented defensive front, which is their best position group on that team. So that's going to be interesting. And then that's going to be, I think we have an edge there. Ryan, obviously, he always plays well on the road against the Jets. I don't know why, but he always does. He always, plays really well. And then we go to the Bills up in Buffalo. Hopefully, we can get our first win up in Buffalo in the last, 5 years it's been since we've won away in Buffalo. So that would be great. It's always a tough place to play there, but I think we have it's going to be interesting because Rex Ryan's going to be on the revenge for Aaron Williams. Obviously, that defense is always tough to score on. Tyrod Taylor, if Sammy Watkins is back, that's a good combo right there. Charles Clay, obviously, if he's healthy. So that's going to be a tough game to win. And then the final game, we have New England at home. Now, this is one of the games, here's the huge thing. The reason we won the last 3 years against them is we had somebody who could guard Gronk. This game, I don't know who we're going to put on Gronk, because Rashard's not going to play that. He's not going to be playing. I don't know who we're going to put on Gronk. That's going to be the toughest matchup all game for us, is how do we stop Gronk. I mean, we could pick Kiko. Kiko's just not strong enough. I don't know how we would guard Gronk in that game. So that's going to be a tough game. They obviously lost Jamie Collins, which is a huge plus to us in scoring on that defense. So I think our offense, Ryan always plays good against the Patriots at home. His touchdown and interception ratio at home against the Patriots is probably the best out of any player in the NFL. So I think I like our chances in that game a lot. I think we will win that game. That's the one game I will say we have a really good chance of winning that game. No, I'm saying I don't usually predict things. That's what I'm saying, because there's a lot of games. I mean, the Rams, 49ers, we have a real good chance of winning a lot of these games. We have like I said, none of these guys except the Patriots have a winning record right now. So we have a really good chance of like I said, none of them have a winning record. The hardest part of our schedule was the beginning of it. Those first 4 games, or the first 4 games were going to be tough. Obviously, going on the road on a Thursday night football game, going to New England, going to Seattle, those are tough games to win. We almost won them. This football team is really underrated, really good. One of the best coaching staffs in the league. I mean, Vance Joseph and Adam Gase on the same staff alone is outstanding. We have a really good chance of making the playoffs. This football team is different. They're one of the greatest things you could say about a team that has struggled over the years and hasn't had good leadership is when they change the culture. When you see that culture change, there's nothing better to see as a fan when you see that. I mean, look at down there in Oakland what Derek Carr and Khalil Mack have done. So when you see that, it's a beautiful thing to see. So that's gonna be it, guys. I am Skyx for Chain 83.